Welcome to the show. It's a beautiful day here in Arizona, and I've got a really fun interview for you with Kevin Steele. He's from the bands Roxx Gang and Mojo Gurus. Now, if you're not familiar with his work, definitely check out the songs, or check out the Roxx Gang's first album. The whole album's great. Things You've Never Done Before, but especially the songs No Easy Way Out and Scratch My Back. I also love the song Stone Dead Drunk Again off the Voodoo You Love album. Great stuff. Unfortunately, this band disbanded, and then Kevin formed the Mojo Gurus, and we'll get the scoop on all that. Plus, he answers the question if there will ever be a Roxx Gang reunion. And a couple things about this interview. If you're watching on YouTube, Kevin could not do video, so his portion is going to be audio only. There is video of me and my ugly face, but for that reason, having no video of Kevin, I do think that maybe sometimes it was hard to tell if he was done answering a question. So I apologize if I interrupt him too much in this interview. He likes to take his time to think about the questions, and without being able to see, sometimes it's hard to know when he was done answering. Also, if I seem a little bit distracted in the beginning of the interview, it's because my girlfriend and I were trying to buy Guns N' Roses tickets. And yes, we got them, and we got general admission, so I'm very excited for that. But anyways, here's the Kevin Steele interview. It's fun time, so enjoy it. Welcome, Kevin Steele of Roxx Gang and Mojo Gurus to the Chuck Shoot Podcast. How are you doing this fine, what is it? What day is it? Wednesday? Wednesday. How are you doing?
It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Oh, it's Tuesday. Oh, shit. Okay, yeah. Shows you where I am.
I'm surprised that I'm the one that knows.
Yeah, I know. It's like when you don't have a 9 to 5,
Anyway,
you lose track of the days.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I'm a big fan of Roxx Gang. I'm just kind of now discovering Mojo Gurus. But, yeah, tell me at the beginning. So you started out in Ohio.
Yeah, in a suburb of Cleveland. And so I was in all the English glam rock, Mott the Hoople, T-Rex, and the American trashier, you know, the Dolls and Iggy. And those were my roots, my glam roots. And so, you know, I moved to Florida, and it was when I was a teenager, and it was a total culture shock. And the music I heard in Florida would later influence me in the Mojo Gurus. But to begin with, it was a total culture shock.
Going to Florida?
Yeah.
Because what, it was was it kind of like rednecky over there?
Yeah, I was a kid who's into the New York Dolls, and they were into Leonard Skinner, which I love Leonard Skinner, but when I put a band together and we decided to I was trying to get my bandmates all to dress glam and everything, and it was it met two varied people didn't know what to think. It was before, Roxx Gang was together for years before we got signed. And there was no MTV. People were not aware. People had not been introduced to Motley Crue or Poison or, any of those bands yet. And so.
Right. It was, you guys started in 82, which was way before all that stuff. And you said that you were into the 70s glam. You guys were not copying Ratt and Motley Crue. You guys were doing that stuff before those bands even were doing it at all, right?
Right. That's a common misconception about Roxx Gang. Like, there's a lot of people that thought we kind of, hopped on the Hollywood glam bandwagon, but it's not true. And, we were into those 70s acts. And
I think that's actually the case for a lot of those bands. They're accused of being copycat, but you guys, a lot of you just had a lot of the same influences. And so then it's like, yeah, you're going to have a similar sound because you all have the same influences.
But people from our area of Florida, they really didn't know what to think of Roxx Gang in those days. It was, they thought we were transvestites.
Right. That was not as accepted in the 80s the early 80s back then as it is now. So yeah, it's like, and especially like you said, if it's rednecks, that could be, did you ever have trouble? Did anyone ever try to like beat you up or anything?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
We used to play these after-hour bottle clubs when we first started, and there was fighting was very common. Fights would break out, pool sticks. It was.
Could you hold your own in the fights?
Yeah, we learned to make friends with. We had a lot of tough guy friends.
Oh, that's
They would help look
smart.
out for us.
Did you? No, I was funny because when I was thinking of Florida bands in the '80s, and like again, I didn't realize you guys were so early, but I remember Brian. I had Brian Forsyth from Kicks on here, and he talked about there was a period where they were down there for during the Cool Kids. Did you ever come across them, or was that a different part of Florida?
Yeah, I saw them perform down there, but I think it was after that.
Okay, and what about? Did you ever come across Johnny Depp's band, The Kids? That was like a rockabilly band.
No,
Okay.
no,
So were you guys signed in Florida, or did you relocate out of Florida at some point?
no. We got signed in Florida, which I've always been proud that we. Yeah, our band was dirt poor. Everybody in my band was dirt poor, and we didn't have the money to. Everybody was moving to Los Angeles. And
Hmm.
that was the place to get signed. That's where the music business was. And we would make trips up to New York and play L'Amour. And we got a New York lawyer. And we started to get some national press. And Kerrang magazine championed us over in England right away.
Before you got signed?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we put out a album length demo called Love 'Em and Leave 'Em. And that's what eventually got us signed to Virgin. And it was outselling the White Snake and Guns N' Roses locally, and
Wow.
um, and that's what got us signed.
So wait,
But
what city was this in Florida? Were you guys in Tampa, or where exactly? What city was it?
it was the Tampa Bay area. The
Tampa Bay.
band
Okay.
was from Tampa, St. Petersburg,
Okay.
Clearwater.
Okay. So it was that same. Was there any other bands did you have any peers that ended up being successful in that area, or were you guys kind of the only ones of that genre?
By the time we got signed, like there was other bands that wore makeup or had big hair or whatever. But personally, I don't think there's any bands like Roxx Gang.
No, I loved you guys. It's so original. So tell me the story.
Roxx Gang had an edge. A lot of the bands that sprung up around us were more. There was that pop element to a lot of the glam, especially like the Hollywood, the strip bands. We didn't really have that. We were more like I don't know, it was arena rock meets sleaze rock.
Sleaze, yeah, that's the kind of that LA Guns N' Roses kind of feel, where it was more like a mix of punk and glam.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So tell me what happened, if you don't mind talking about it, with Eric Carrell, who was the original songwriting partner and guitarist. He died mysteriously in 1987. He fell off a bridge, but he was with some guy that he owed money to. So is there like some people that think he was maybe pushed off the bridge?
Well, we were doing a lot of. It was the '80s. We were doing a lot of blow back then, and nobody was doing more than Eric. And he was out on Eric. We lived in Florida. Eric was the kind of guy who carried a fishing pole in his van, and he would go fishing off bridges or whatever. He had snook holes that he wouldn't even tell anybody where they were. And one night he was out on a bridge fishing, and it just so happened that he was with a guy who he owed a lot of money to. And all these rumors sprung up around it when he fell. I personally believe he fell. I think they were probably just horsing around and he fell. He was wearing his snakeskin boots that night, which were
Oh,
conducive.
yeah, that's not a good idea. Okay. And then if he had been drinking
But
or
really,
done any sort of drugs, then your balance is off. And so,
and when you do a lot of coke, then you drink a lot of Jack Daniels to kind of keep things balanced. And I don't know, but nobody will ever know what happened except those two.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them's left to tell the story. But I loved Eric like a brother. You know, that a lot of people don't realize that the lineup on the first on Things You Never Done Before, the debut album, is not the original lineup of Roxx Gang. Roxx Gang was together for years with Eric and a different drummer and a different bass player, and that band all came together, you know, right before and then after. We had to get two guitar players to replace. We were a one guitar band with Eric.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Eric passed. It took two guitar players to
Replace
take his
him?
spot.
Yeah. So, you could have ended the band right then and there because that's a big piece of the band was your guitar player and your songwriting partner. But you decided to continue on with the band as kind of as a tribute to Eric, right?
Yeah, it was a huge blow because Roxx Gang, we were very close, all the band members at that time, and Eric and I, Eric and I went back to the beginning of Roxx Gang. We were in a band that became Roxx Gang, and it was a huge blow. And at first, it's like, what do you do? It was on like, do you keep going? Is it a betrayal to keep going? And then I said, I figured, no. How better could I honor this guy, my brother, than to keep this going and scratch my back and No Easy Way Out. Eric and I wrote together, so if I could get his music out there, our music, I figured there was no better tribute.
Yeah. And also you did a tribute by the song Red Rose was inspired by the tragedy. Now, was it you or someone in the band has a daughter named Caroline? And that was also a tribute, Eric Carrell, Caroline, right?
No, that's what happened was,
I screwed that up.
When you're okay. When you're a writer, you take some creative license, and it was a tribute to Eric, and I chose the name Caroline because his name was Eric Carrell.
Okay. But no one actually has a daughter named. That's just the story, the fictional story of the song.
No, Eric had a brand new baby daughter when he died, but her name is Nicole.
Okay. Now it's a very interesting intro on that song. Who came up with that? Like it's kind of like the drum roll and stuff. It's very interesting.
It's like a funeral march.
Yeah.
That was so long ago. I'll give Gabe Blackshire, our drummer, credit, I guess.
Okay. But so then that album, Things You've Never Done Before, 1988, it's produced by Beau Hill. And he was one of your top choices to produce the album because he had produced Kix and Alice Cooper and Ratt. And you said that he had really constructive ideas. So what did he add to the production of that album?
He really helped. He was very helpful as far as arranging the songs, and suggesting a bridge, or you need let's do two choruses on the fade out, or just little arrangement type things. And then he was very creative as far as our sound went. He had a lot of great ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed working with Beau. I've had the opportunity in my career to work with Beau Hill, Jack Douglas, who produced all the early Aerosmith albums. Jack Douglas produced the Mojo Gurus album. Jack Douglas produced all the early Aerosmith, Cheap Trick. He's worked at the New York Dolls. He worked with freaking John Lennon, and I couldn't fucking stand him, and I hated working with him. It was the most painful experience I've ever had, and I never went into a project with higher hopes and came out with more disappointment.
Oh.
And I've worked with Tommy Hendrix, who's one of Alice Cooper's guitar players and has produced Lou Reed and Alice. And I've worked with Carl Kennedy with the Rods, who did a lot of heavy groups back in the day, like Anthrax.
Overkill, yeah.
Overkill, yeah. So I've worked with some good producers, and I think Beau was probably the most helpful and the most fun to work with.
Okay. So why do you think you said? I think you said that that album sold about 250,000 copies worldwide. But why do you think that album wasn't bigger? Because when I listen back to No Easy Way Out or Scratch My Back, pretty much most of the songs on the record still hold up today, in my opinion. And I just feel like it's above and beyond a lot of the bands of that era and that timeline. Like, I just feel like that album should have sold a lot more.
I think so too. But timing has never been Roxx Gang's. We got signed in like what 80? I think it was the end of '88,
Okay.
and so we recorded Things You Never Done Before in a studio called the Enterprise, co-owned by Billy Mummy. You know that is the name ring a bell?
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but can't place it.
Well, you look like you're probably a little younger than me, but you've heard of the show Lost in Space?
Yeah.
Billy Mummy was Will Robinson.
Oh, okay. Like the robot was like Danger, Will Robinson, like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he later became part of the duo that remember that novelty song Fish Heads?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That is a weird song.
Billy Mummy and
Roly Poly Fish Heads, yeah.
Yep. So anyways, I can remember being in the Enterprise in the lobby and watching TV while somebody was recording drum parts or guitar solos or whatever. I wasn't up to bat. And I remember seeing Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit video. A lot of people don't realize how late Roxx Gang came out in the game. And the rug was pulled out from under us before we even started. Nirvana and Soundgarden, those bands all had albums out before Roxx Gang. By the time we put our album out, that scene was effectively dead.
Wait, what? Because I thought the first album come out in '88?
80, I think it was actually 89 by the time it came out.
Okay, and so because I think you guys toured with Warrant and you toured by yourself. Did you do some shows with Alice Cooper? And what other shows did you do or tours?
We did some shows with Faster Pussycat. We did some shows with Ratt. We did some shows with I can't even remember.
I thought I saw this thing online. It was Gene Simmons came up and played with you guys. I don't know if it was just for one song or what was the story there?
That was at a they do a annual that was at this benefit they do in Tampa for children's hospital. And they had a bunch of celebrities there that played with bands from Tampa. And we got paired up. So somebody at a radio station thought Gene and Roxx Gang would be a good match. And Gene wanted to play in the midnight hour and all these R&B songs. And, we'd been told about 2 weeks ahead of time that we were going to play with Gene, and we learned a handful of Kiss songs.
Sure.
And I don't want to play any Kiss songs.
What?
Like, well, that's what we rehearsed.
Yeah.
I don't want to play any Kiss songs. What do you want to play? In the midnight hour. Gene, the guys in my band weren't even born when that song came.
Yeah, you guys are not an R&B group.
So that was interesting, dude. We ended up playing like "Rock Me Baby," and he consented to do. We did Strutter.
Yeah, that's the video I saw. I think it was you guys doing Strutter. That was kind of cool.
So like I was saying, the scene was over. It was done before we even started.
Yeah, because didn't
And
they say the music
I
for the
think
second album, they wanted you, you said the A&R guy wanted you to put out something like the Divinals, that song, I Touch Myself, which
this
seems like
guy,
a...
this guy, Larique Weymouth, his sister is Tina Weymouth in the Talking Heads.
Mm.
And he was one of our A&R guys at Virgin. We were Virgin's first hard rock signing. And they didn't have a clue what to do with us. They had lots of money. They gave us plenty of money to record our first album, to make 2 great videos. But as far as marketing us, they didn't have a clue. And after the first album, we went into the studio and recorded all these. We were so psyched. We thought we had really made major leaps and bounds from the first album to the second album, which became the Voodoo You Love,
Great
which is
album.
my favorite. Which is my favorite Roxx Gang album.
Yeah, it's funny
And
because that's the first one I heard. So the first song I ever heard of you guys was Stone Dead Drunk Again. It was like it was a song on this free CD, Paris Records CD that I got from Metal Edge. And I loved that song and I wanted more, but I was like, how do I don't even know if I could find Roxx Gang CDs, even your first album.
well, the second album, I felt like I was gaining control of my band. Like when I first started, I was a lyric writer.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any musical. I didn't play any instrument, and I would write songs. And Eric and I, Eric would. I'd put words to Eric's music, or he'd put music to my words. As I began to mature musically, and realize that even though I didn't play, I was coming up. I would hear the melodies that I wanted, how I wanted to sing my lyrics, and I had guitar players that were good enough to where it's fairly common. I would sing my musical ideas to my guitar players. I wanted to go 9 lives to go like this, nah, 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 nah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think the singer of Ugly Kid Joe does the same thing.
So by the time the problem was with the first album, I think I wrote some really good lyrics on the first album, but it's a little heavier than I. There are songs like "Live Fast, Die Young," for instance, that are a little bit more metal or than what I would than what I feel is me. And I feel
Yeah.
on the second album, I got more into like kind of like R&B based rock and roll, like more like the glam bands or Aerosmith or whoever that I had grown up on. Got away from the Live Fast, Die Young, and that kind of stuff.
So
But I was a little bit uncomfortable.
So was
for
that
me.
Voodoo You Love album? What year was that? I know it came out in 95, but when was it actually recorded?
Yeah, it was recorded like it took like 4. What year did you say it came out?
95, I think. So was it recorded in
Yeah,
91?
probably maybe even 90.
Oh, okay. Wow. So
And
what
it's the same, although the picture, this is another misconception about Roxx Gang is it's the same exact lineup as the first album, even though if you look at the picture, by this time Stacey Blades had joined the band. We'd had a complete lineup overhaul, but it was really the same guys who
Yeah,
had
so
recorded those sequences on the first
okay.
album.
But so explain to me what happened with the lineup, because I think you said ego, heavy drinking, cocaine, and fist fights. Is that what like there was like a lot of I think those are the things that happened with the lineup.
Yeah, and like I said, the guys in the band were dirt poor. So after the first album came out, they were on per diem, and everything was moving along nicely, and everybody had a salary, and it was the first time anybody. But after we got off Virgin wanted to put after the first album wanted to put us on Charisma, which is a subsidiary label of Virgin. And we felt that if they'd only sold 250,000 records, and we felt that the album should have been platinum.
I
And
think so.
if they had only managed to sell 250,000 records on the main label, what was going to happen if they moved us to, the subsidiary. And we negotiated a release, and we got out with our without owing them a penny, right? And right away, CBS gave us a demo deal, and they paid for the sessions that became the Voodoo You Love. But as is very common in the music business, the people, labels, there's change of personnel there too, all the time. And the guy we were dealing with all of a sudden was out. And then the next thing you know, musical tastes were changing, grunge was in.
Yeah.
Those tapes just sat around for like 4 years.
Ugh, so sad, because it does make you wonder, though, if they had put that out a little earlier, maybe 91. I think 91, 92, it could have still done okay.
If things you never done before, if we would have got signed 2 years earlier, even a year earlier, I think the first album would have went platinum, and it would have set, a whole different trajectory for the band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just the story. Unfortunately, with a lot of that stuff, it's just, I hate how, for whatever reason, Nirvana. I mean, I like Nirvana. I'm from Seattle, so I grew up with all that stuff, and I liked that stuff too. But I was like, why can't we have both? Why can't I listen to Roxx Gang and Nirvana? I never understood that.
Yeah. Well, I wish I knew.
Yeah. But so anyway, so then you decide, okay, well, this music is not cool or whatever. And so then you're like, well, I'll try something a little different, do the Mojo Gurus, which is like really cool band. It's like country, kind of bluesy rock.
Wait. Slow down one second. It wasn't a matter of like, this music is not cool. And you're leaving out, after the Voodoo You Love, there was like 3 more Roxx Gang albums.
Right. Love 'Em and Leave 'Em. And yeah, so
Love 'Em and Leave 'Em was we released our demo that I told you about. We just put that on. Then we put out Old New Bard and Blue. Then we put out Drinking TNT and Smoking Dynamite. And as we were kind of transitioning into the Mojo Gurus, this kind of made for a messy transition, but there was actually a Roxx Gang album called Mojo Gurus.
Right. And weren't you kind of doing both? At one point you were having Roxx Gang, and then Mojo Gurus was like the alter ego.
Mojo Gurus, we played gigs where the Mojo Gurus opened up for Roxx Gang.
Oh, that's cool. That would be a fun show.
We go in the dressing room and change our clothes and come out. And
that's funny.
He looks like the singer in the first band.
And you get paid twice that way.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So it isn't so much a matter of, by this time now we're talking years into Roxx Gang, and by now I always take a lot of shit for this, but this is just my personal opinion. I know that other people have a different opinion, and they're totally entitled to it. And who am I to? All I'm saying is what works for me. I understand that there are other people that completely disagree with me, and they have tons of fans who enjoy their albums to this day. But I personally believe that the window for a glam rock band that dressed and wore makeup or whatever, that had the image that Roxx Gang had, the window for that is very small. You can only do it till you're a certain age, and then it starts to look unseemly. Okay? There are many guys that are my peers, age-wise, they're still doing it. Still wearing mascara, and squeezing themselves into skin-tight pants when, they see. And just because you can doesn't mean you should, Steven Tyler. And just because, and he's a guy who still looks good. There's plenty of guys who don't look good and are doing it. And I didn't want, as being a fan of early glam rock, you ever hear of Gary Glitter?
Yeah. Rock and Roll Part 2?
Right.
Didn't he get in trouble with I don't know, maybe we can skip that.
Yeah. But my point in bringing him up is that he, even at the height of his popularity, he was way too old to be a glam rocker. right? And he looked ridiculous. And I didn't want to go down that road. And I figured, live fast, die young, leave a good looking corpse. Well, I wasn't ready to check out yet, but I was going to leave the image of Roxx Gang as a good memory. When you look at pictures of Roxx Gang, you won't find pictures of somebody in the band has thinning hair. Somebody's gut is hanging over their leather pants.
Yeah, but I mean, I like the songs.
What about a badass, super cool looking rock group?
Right, but
that's the way it's meant.
But I want to hear the music. So how can I hear? Am I ever going to be able to hear a Roxx Gang song live? Do you play Roxx Gang as Mojo Gurus, like some of those songs?
No.
So I will never be able to hear no Scratch My Back or Red Rose or No Easy Way Out. I will never hear those songs live.
Nope.
That's sad. That makes me sad. Damn it. What if you did a solo thing, Kevin Steele, and you played stuff from Roxx Gang and Mojo Gurus and some other stuff or whatever?
No, especially then, because I'm the main guy who's saying no.
I mean, because Ozzy does stuff from Black Sabbath.
I have been offered, I'll protect the bands that made me this offer, but I have been offered the opportunity from other 80s bands to go. They said, you come, we'll book a tour as Roxx Gang, we'll be Roxx Gang. You don't even have to come to rehearsals. You come sing, we'll tour as Roxx Gang. I won't name their names because I don't know how they feel about me talking about it.
Are they a well-known 80s band or?
Yes.
Damn it. Now I'm curious. Will you tell me off air? Will you tell me off the record?
I guess I could.
Okay. I won't tell anybody. I'm just curious for my own curiosity, but that's really fascinating. And you turned it down.
Going on. So, I also watched some of my idols. I grew up praying at the altar of guys like Steven Tyler and Alice Cooper, and but when I look at them now, and God bless them, and this is what I said, it's only my opinion, and I know, who am I to say anything? They have hundreds of thousands, millions of fans, But just for me, for Kevin Steele, it just looks unseemly to me.
So you think Aerosmith should just give it up and not play shows anymore? Or?
No, I think Aerosmith is such a great band that that Steven Tyler doesn't have to still wear women's clothes.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So you're saying it's just more the look. You wish
Mick Jagger is a god to me. Mick Jagger can do whatever he wants because he's Mick Jagger. But
yeah, pretty much.
Like, he's Mick Jagger. Mick, you're 70. He's pushing 80 now. You don't have to dance around like that. I'm so impressed that you can, but you don't have to. You're Mick Jagger.
But isn't that part of the show, is seeing them sing and dance and dress up? And I mean, so you just want them to go out there in like jeans and a t-shirt?
There's tons of videos. There's tons of film. You can see Mick in his prime. It's just me, man.
Okay.
Who the fuck is Kevin Steele to tell Mick Jagger what to do? I'm just saying that for me, I think it's unseemly. I think it looks, so as all this, that is a factor. And then there's also the fact that I've grown up and my musical tastes were maturing, and, look, the most glam rock guys there are, David Bowie, for instance. He's not, well, he's gone now, but, he didn't stay Ziggy Stardust. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He matured. Even Mick Jagger no longer wears sequin jumpsuits. You know,
Yeah.
there it's very hard to age gracefully and for a rock and roller to age gracefully. It's very hard, especially if you are a flamboyant frontman. But it can be done, I feel. You know, Mott the Hoople, Ian Hunter doesn't wear platform boots and satin suits and platform boots anymore. Um, and my musical taste, the music that I was writing and the music that I was feeling, creatively, like it was a little more soulful than when I was a 20-something-year-old kid.
Sure.
I would feel. It's just me, but I would feel foolish I'm almost 60, man. If I get on stage, I can get on stage and sing "Too Cool for School" or "Scratch My Back" or
I would love it. I don't know. I see what you're saying. I totally get your point.
I would feel like an idiot. Those were songs that a 24-year-old kid wrote, and he was aiming it at, teenage to young 20-year-old girls,
But we're all old too. So like we'll come out and we'll sing along. We'll all be old together. What's wrong with that? It's fun.
Oh, that's pathetic.
I mean, Skid Row still does 18 in Life, and Sebastian Bach sings 18 in Life still, and I like it.
Not a fan.
Wow. So you think these bands should just stop?
No. Ian Hunter is still rocking. He's putting out some of the best music he ever has. The Stones still put out great music. Aerosmith still puts out some pretty good music.
But they shouldn't do the older stuff, or?
Well, it depends. Some of it's appropriate, some of it's not. Like I said, "Scratch My Back" for me is not appropriate for a guy my age.
I love that song though. It's just so good. I want to hear it live. Damn it.
Do you own the CD?
No, I mean I listen on Spotify.
Okay, well, buy the CD.
Yeah, but it's not the same as seeing it live.
Watch the video.
Yeah, I saw the videos. It's cool that I can see those on YouTube now. And I couldn't see them in the 80s. I missed it. I didn't.
Yeah, 20-something-year-old Kevin Steele singing it when I was, a young rock stud.
Yeah.
Not a 60-year-old man.
I mean, you can still hit all those notes and everything, right?
Yeah, and I weigh right now. I weigh 150. I weigh about not even 5 pounds more than I did when the first Roxx Gang album came out. I still got all my hair. It's graying now. I don't dye it blue-black anymore. But the point is, I still cut a fair figure, and it's not the point. It's like I said about Steven Tyler. Just because you can wear those clothes, Steven, doesn't mean you should.
But Steven Tyler's also getting a boatload of money to do that. Like how much? Everyone's got their price. If somebody gave you $1 million, would you do it for $1 million? You wouldn't do a Roxx Gang reunion?
I might sell out for a million.
There it is. There it is. Okay.
I want to take care of my loved ones.
Yeah. Right? That's worth it. I mean, yeah, it's cool. Well, anyway, so Mojo Gurus. So tell me, you keep talking about Jack Douglas, how this was such a miserable experience. What happened there? Why was he so bad? He was a famous producer.
A lot of, where I said that Beau made suggestions that really were a plus to our songs and really did, really added something to the song.
Yeah.
I felt like Jack was making suggestions just so that he could say that he did.
Oh.
I didn't agree with any of his suggestions. I didn't feel like he was making the songs any better. I actually felt like he was making them worse.
So then, so did he win with the suggestions, or did you get your way?
For the most part, I got my way. After Jack left, ultimately is our album. We were paying Jack, so anything I didn't like, I changed.
Well, there you go.
Jack didn't like that either.
Well, that's nice.
And I can't tell you how many times during the sessions he said, "It's your album. You can do whatever you want. Once I'm gone, do whatever you want." And that's exactly what I did. But he did not like that.
Okay, fair enough.
And just like, as far, I don't want to get into it too much, but our views on life, politics, we just came at life from two very different angles. We butted heads. We did not jive. I did not enjoy working with him.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, so I had another question. So you said that you had an offer to reunite with as Roxx Gang. Did you have any other offers, like to join other bands or to work with other people in the 80s scene or even in the 90s scene that you turned down?
Not that this would have ever come to fruition. I don't know, but there was a point very early in Roxx Gang history when I got a call from a girl who I dated in high school, who is now Snake. What's his name?
Sabo, yeah, of Skid Row.
And at the time, Sebastian Bach was not yet their singer, and she asked if I would like to come up and audition. And I was very happy with what was going on in Roxx Gang at the time, and said I wasn't interested. And I don't regret that decision at all. More power to Skid Row. I'm really not a Skid Row fan.
Yeah, no, that's kind of interesting to think about what could have been though.
Well, who's to say, but I think Skid Row had a lot of outside influence as far as creatively on the first album, at least. Songwriting. And I couldn't have that at all. I have to have full. I'm a control freak. And it's gotta be if I wasn't doing my music, I would not be happy.
Okay, fair enough. Gotcha. Well, so another member, I think you mentioned him earlier, Stacey Blades. He was in Roxx Gang for a little bit. Then he went on to join LA Guns, and now he's doing a lot of other stuff. What do you think about what is it about him that allowed him to kind of build on the success of Roxx Gang and kind of keep going, where a lot of the other members, you just don't hear about them as much?
Well, Stacey moved out to Los Angeles, and he bummed around in a couple of bands, and finally, I don't know how he got the gig in LA Guns. It just goes to show you how good Roxx Gang is.
Yeah,
how good Roxx Gang is.
Definitely.
Stacey, this is not meant as an insult to Stacey, but Stacey was by far not the best guitar player that's ever been in Roxx Gang. So, but apparently and he improved leaps and bounds while he was in Roxx Gang. And
so maybe it was more perseverance and hard work.
He was good enough in Roxx Gang. I'm sure he was good enough for LA Guns.
Yeah, definitely. So Roxx Gang reunion, I'll scratch that question off the list because you've already told me that's never going to happen.
And anything he's done since then, I mean, really, I'll give him LA Guns because I got a lot of respect for their singer. But anything he's done past that, or like he's in Bobby Blotzer's version of Ratt. Is that Ratt? No, it's not.
Right.
Personally, as much as I like Phil Lewis, I don't think they're truly LA Guns without. I don't think LA Guns is truly LA Guns without Tracy Guns.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely a big. It's good that they're back together now. So.
And Stacey, so when he really just bounced around from tribute band to tribute band, which that's Stacey Blades, Tracy Guns. You get it?
Yeah, they both do a lot of projects for sure. They stay
Now,
busy.
do you see where Stacey got his name? That's not his birth name.
Right.
So
Is that a take on Tracy Guns?
I always, I mean, I always thought it was. I was always embarrassed that he chose that name, that
I
he kept
like
that
it.
name in Roxx. I wouldn't tell him not to use it, but
Yeah.
I thought it was a little derivative, you know.
I like that you have these strong opinions, even though, it's like, it's interesting to hear this kind of
Oh, yeah, I do. What?
honesty. I like it. It's refreshing. Like you don't hold back. You don't just give the typical like, oh, everybody's perfect. Everything's great. Like, you're like, no, I didn't like this. I don't like this. And I like hearing that. It's
It's
kind
rock
of
and roll, man.
what?
It's rock and roll, man.
Yeah. It makes it, I like the honesty. It's great. You're a huge fan of music. You have a giant vinyl collection, right?
I do. I do. And that's where, I love rock and roll.
How many records do you own? Do you know how many? Because I saw
I
this
have no
picture and there
idea.
was like all these records behind you. It was insane.
Thousands, thousands. I have no idea.
In the
It would be too
thousands.
bo- It would take too long and be too boring to count.
Okay.
But but enough to where it's getting to the point where, like, are you ever going to be able to listen to all these records anymore?
Right. Yeah.
but, but I'm a huge fan of music, and not just rock and roll. I love all forms of rock and roll, like, rockabilly, and I love R&B music. I love soul music. I love reggae, especially '70s reggae and soul music, and so I think I think it's very boring. I think that's the problem with a lot of my peers and with a lot of their albums, is that everybody in the band is into the same exact bands, the same kind of music. And then they put out an album, and guess what? It sounds, song after song, sounds exactly the same, and it sounds just like the bands they like. Like, I have all kinds of different influences from all kinds, so many different genres of music, and my critics might say that some of my albums suffer from a lack of direction. I totally disagree. I grew up listening to the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. Like, you can't. Does anybody ever tell the Beatles, like, you can't do that because it's not a, like, you know what I mean? The
Mm-hmm.
Rolling Stones played rock and roll, R&B, reggae, soul music, you know, and that's why they're not boring.
Right. No, and that's I had this discussion with people a lot about the Guns N' Roses, the Use Your Illusion albums, because a lot of people say, well, that's not as good as Appetite, but I really like the variety on the Use Your Illusions. There's so much different kinds of stuff on those albums. It's really interesting. I like all kinds of music too, like you. So I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know. So as I grew, as I aged, and as my musical taste matured, and let's face it, there's music that you listen to when you're in high school that just, some of it you still listen to, and you have strong feelings of nostalgia and whatever. Some of it was timeless, but there's some stuff that just doesn't quite do it for you anymore. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Sure.
might even think it's a little childish.
Yeah, I
And
can see that.
and and so the Mojo Gurus was my attempt at making something a little more soulful.
Yeah. So tell me what's going on with them. Do you guys have any new music coming out, or you got any tours, or?
Our last album, I didn't. To be honest, our last album, Gone, may be very well be the last Mojo Gurus album.
Oh, so would you still do shows, or you're saying you're just not going to make any new music?
I think that Gone, as the title would imply.
So the whole thing's gone.
I like ambiguity. I I don't like when things are obvious. I like when if 5 different people listen to one of my songs and interpret it 5 different ways, I dig that. I dig the shit out of that.
That's awesome.
So Gone was the title of our last album. Well, Gone in the rockabilly vernacular is like, that chick is real gone, Okay, gone can mean departed.
Okay. So then what's your next project? If Roxx Gang's done, Mojo Gurus is done, what are you gonna do?
Who knows? I'll surprise myself somehow.
Would you ever want to do some sort of like super group, like with, maybe not so the 80s guys, but maybe some 70s guys or just,
Well, it depends. See, as far as forming a super group just for the sake of having a super group, that idea is boring to me and doesn't appeal to me. Like, if I got together with guys who happened to have been in other bands and we were jiving on something, and we were feeling something and created something that we all felt was worthwhile, well, then I wouldn't say no to that.
okay. Well, now where are you located now? Are you back in near the Tampa area or?
Yeah, I live in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay. Is there other rock bands around there or other musicians that that are around that area? I'm not familiar with that scene.
There are,
Okay.
but it's not a threat. The Tampa Bay scene in the late '80s was one of it was in the top 10 biggest markets in the states.
Hmm.
And it no longer is.
Hmm.
And rock and roll, like you and I like rock and roll, it's pretty dead around here, I would say.
Ah, that's sad to hear, but I think it's making a comeback.
Well, it's pretty much that way everywhere, isn't it?
I don't know. I have this argument with people all the time. I used to work in the schools, and it's been a couple of years since I worked there. But when I worked in the schools, I remember seeing kids with all the bands from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Like they rarely would wear, a lot of kids would wear rock T-shirts still. Like, I mean, it was weird because I was like, wait, they like that band? Like, so there is a lot of younger kids that are into this music. Yeah. But
don't let it fool you. There are kids that know good music. There are young kids that know good music. There's also kids who wear those shirts ironically.
That might be, yeah, that's true.
And here's something. See, this is the thing. When I was a kid, when you were in high school, right? What year did you graduate high school?
96.
Okay. Wow, you're way younger than me. So when I was in high school, rock and roll in the 60s and 70s, there'd never been music before that. There had never been music for young people before. Think about it. There had never been before rock and roll.
Jazz wasn't for young kids?
There was not music that was created and aimed at teenagers.
Okay.
Before rock and roll. Okay. There was big band, swing, and whatever, but it wasn't aimed at teenagers. Rock and roll was the first music that kids could say, this is our music. And it irritated the shit out of our parents,
Mm-hmm.
How many times, I don't know about you, but a lot of times growing up, I heard, turn that shit down,
Heard that a lot. Yeah, definitely. Angry dad. My bedroom was right above his office. And he'd call me on the phone and turn that thing. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And didn't it just make you love that music even more?
Yes, I did love it. Yeah. I didn't care. I was like, oh, it made me hate my dad more is what it no.
And you didn't want your parents to relate to it. Okay?
Yeah, that would have been weird.
That. Yeah. Well, think about how weird it is now, because now people in my generation are parents. Hell, people my age, a lot of them are grandparents. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The kids, if you're a kid, do you want to listen to the music that your dad grew up on? Your dad's wearing a Ramones t-shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It just doesn't hold the same. It doesn't hold the same feeling of rebellion anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. This generation is just totally different. I don't know that they're into rebellion.
Not only is Dad wearing a Ramones t-shirt, he's wearing a Ramones t-shirt he bought at fucking Target. He never even went to a Ramones concert.
It's true. You can buy some of those shirts at Target now.
It's totally different time,
yeah,
man.
It is very different. You're right. That's true.
Kids are looking for something. Kids are always looking for something that separates them from their parents generation. And it just doesn't hold the same appeal anymore to young kids because their parents grew up on rock and roll.
Well, maybe their parents grew up on rap, and there could be kids that were, their parents are like Snoop Dogg. And so then for them, listening to Guns N' Roses is rebelling.
I could believe it.
I don't know. I'm telling you, there is some kids that are into rock. I mean, I even see them at some of the shows. It's kind of, and some kids don't want to rebel against their parents. They want to like kind of be friends with their parents. So I don't know. It's a different generation.
Every once in a while, some band comes out. Greta Van
Fleet. Yeah.
Yeah. A band like that comes out and this is the new rock band, Excuse me. And, every couple of years, there's somebody that they're going to be the new. They're gonna bring back rock, but they never do.
Well, they kind of do. I mean, I saw Greta Van Fleet, and they killed it. I mean, they were great. And Dirty Honey is really great. Joyous Wolf, I had the singer of that band on my show. Like, they're really good. And so, they might not be as big. They might not be able to sell out soccer stadiums, but they're still making great music and having great shows, and I enjoy it. So I don't know.
Greta Van Fleet's a cool band. I love their music. I think their singer's kind of a dork.
Yeah.
But I mean, I grew up with rock idols. You know what I mean? Mick Jagger, Robert Plant, Keith Richards, Jimmy Page.
It's hard to beat those guys.
They were golden gods of rock.
Sure.
The singer for Greta Van Fleet is not a golden god of rock.
Fair enough. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I like hearing your opinions. What's that?
Change the subject. I was getting a little too honest.
No, I don't. There's a lot of people that don't like Greta. I enjoy them, but I see your point too. The singer, he's out there. He's dressing a little. They have that kind of hippie flower power thing. They're just not the total package. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. This has been a lot of fun. I like hearing your opinions. I do like to end each episode with a charity of the guest choice. Is there a charity that you want to give a shout out to here, promote?
Is N.O.R.M.L a charity?
What's that?
Is the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, is that a charity? I'm
not familiar with that one, but
well, look it up. N.O.R.M.L.
Is that a real one? It is a real charity?
N.O.R.M.L.
Okay.
National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana.
Okay. Yeah. If people can give them money and they can.
Roxx Gang and the Mojo Gurus have always been pro hemp band.
Okay. Yeah. I think most people are they just legalized it in Arizona here where I live. So yeah, I think it's, what states don't, is Florida still, is it illegal there?
I got a medical.
The medical, yeah.
License. So I can get pot at the pot store now.
Yeah, that seems like it's kind of easy. I've heard, it's really hard to get it. And I'm like, I don't think it is. I think if you just go in there and say, I have anxiety, which 99% of humans do, then you can probably get the medical card.
Yeah, you can find a doctor who will give it to you.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard. But yeah, I will put that in the notes if people want to.
I'd like to mention one more thing before we go.
Okay.
My brother and I are starting a new record label.
Oh.
And we only have a working title right now. It's just Steele Records.
Okay.
Pretty creative, huh?
Hey, my podcast is the Chuck Shoot Podcast. So yeah, I get it.
We spent hours deliberating for that one. But the first order is going to be to re-releasing Things You Never Done Before with a bunch of bonus cuts.
Ooh, that sounds like big news.
And so any Roxx Gang fans out there, watch for that.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will look forward to that. And so I will put the everything in the notes, the website, and I think your website, it has Roxx Gang and Mojo Guru stuff on there. And then
So it's like their website, but you can buy Roxx Gang CDs there.
okay. Well, if I ever hit the lotto, I'm going to force a Roxx Gang reunion on you.
Okay, I'll hold you to that.
Okay. Sounds awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much, Kevin. This has been a blast.
All right. I had a good time too, man.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. So sad that there will never be a Roxx Gang reunion. So I guess I need to win the lotto and make that happen. But I really enjoyed this interview. I liked hearing Kevin's opinions. He's very honest and open, and I like that. A very genuine guy. And I'm excited to see what he does next because it does sound like Mojo Gurus might be done and Roxx Gang ain't going to happen. So make sure to follow both Roxx Gang and Mojo Gurus on Facebook and Twitter, or check the website for more information. I'm sure they'll let us know about Kevin's next plan. And I've included a link in the show notes of those websites. And if you enjoyed the interview, check out some of my other episodes and make sure to subscribe wherever you listen or watch. If you want to support the show, you can follow me on social media, and sharing and commenting on things. It helps my stuff get seen and heard so that more people can see it, and it helps the show grow. So I can't do that without you. So I really appreciate your support. I just hit 400 subscribers on YouTube, which may not sound like a lot, but it's a lot from where I started a year ago on YouTube. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and remember to shoot for the moon.